Well, good morning, everyone. And once again, welcome to another live this morning. We'll wait for a few folks to come on here to make sure you can hear me and see me. And there we go. Nick's up first from our staff. Here we go. There we go. Mike, good morning. On Easter Monday, Manette, Rosa, Holly from Kansas, Andrea, Niagara Falls, Jordan, good morning. Good to have you guys on. John, good morning. And Tina, Nancy, good morning to you. Julie, Bowmanville, Alicia, and Erna. Kim, good morning. Still in Florida, Kim? Mary, Dell, and Jeanette from our staff. Zien, bonjour. Lori Lee, Ventura, California. Roma, and Wendy, good morning. Markham, Kevin, sunny Oshawa. Well, it's sunny in Sudbury this morning. Julia, Catherine, Newfoundland. Pam, good morning. Bruno, Wanda, Ridgeway, Ontario. Yolande, bonjour. Donna, Bell Valley. Marilyn, good morning. And Georgie, Halifax, Nova Scotia. Keith, good morning to you. Let me just to see if I can say this right. Nayono. I might have probably missed it. Sylvie, Diane, bonjour. Nellie, Laura, a couple of more. Anne, good morning. Moncton, New Brunswick. Debbie, good morning to you. Agnes, hello. Vera, Lewisport, Milika, Stouffville, Jane. Coast to coast, guys, from the one end of Canada to the other and one end of the United States to the other. Ruby, Jeanette, Marcin, bonjour. Jane, Linda, St. Jude, Quebec. Rita, Barry, Jerry, Nouveau Brunswick. Regina, Mary Helena from Tirana. Dave, how are you? David, Marianne, and Deb, good morning. Detroit, Michigan. Lois, beautiful Elliott Lake. Lise, Sue, good morning. Halifax. And Jackie in Belle Ile. Brenda, Campbell River, British Columbia. Rita, Sharon. Brahim, how are you? Good to have you on. Karen. And Brahim, I think, is from Portland, Oregon. Mark, Sharon. Okay, let's get going, guys. Debbie, you're the last one. Okay. This was a news article that came out. Might have been on Friday, Good Friday. We weren't on. I think that's when I flagged it. And this is a very interesting paper. It talked about fatty liver. And this is the first time that I've seen, maybe the first time I've seen the connection, at least in mainstream medicine. Okay? It's the first time that I've seen the connection in mainstream medicine where they say this, okay? Now, this is from the American Heart Association, okay? They link, listen to this, okay? This is very significant, guys. This ought, every once in a while I bring to you, this is going to knock your socks off moment, okay? Now, I think this classifies as a knock your socks off moment, okay? Because it is so significant. I just can't get over the significance of this, that the American Heart Association would finally admit to this, or at least maybe see the light, okay? Because here's what they're saying. Non-alcoholic fatty liver. And actually they mentioned two types of fatty liver, which was interesting. But non-alcoholic fatty liver, okay, which I talk to you guys about all the time, is an epidemic today. They admit that. It's an epidemic. As a matter of fact, this article went on to say that 1 out of 4 people in North America, 1 out of 4, 25%, have, and including children. The American Heart Association. What are they talking about the liver for? But they are. Like I said, a knock your socks off moment. They're saying non-alcoholic fatty liver. And I'm just telling you this to remind you, when I was in school in the 70s, I never saw that term. I saw cirrhosis of the liver, alcohol-induced cirrhosis of the liver, but not non-alcoholic fatty liver. If I saw that in the 1970s, I can't remember, and I don't think it was ever in any of my textbooks. But here's the American Heart Association, okay? 1 out of 4 people in North America, including children, have non-alcoholic fatty liver. Okay, that is in itself an epidemic, isn't it? Think about it. If 25%, but here's what else they're saying, okay? In a peer-reviewed journal called Atherosclerosis, the American Heart Association is now linking non-alcoholic fatty liver to heart disease. Well, holy moly. That is incredible. Incredible. And you guys know, if you've been following me for any period of time, what happens in the liver doesn't stay in the liver. It's not Las Vegas, okay? What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. That's what they say, right? But the liver is the key. And they're admitting it. It's the key to heart disease. What? What? It's incredible, guys. Now, they don't even go on to talk about why that is. They don't. They just say it is a key to heart disease. Liver, heart. Okay? Like, I'm going to get my... I'm going to show you a liver on my chart here. See? What happens in the liver is very, very important. And it's linked to the heart, according to the American Heart Association. I hope medicine from this article will wake up will wake up. Now let's go over why it is linked to heart disease. Why? Okay? The liver is a very important place. It's a very important organ. Okay? And there's 600 reasons for it. Guys, you can't live without your liver. You just can't. There's very few, if you get cirrhosis of the liver, for example, and you're not going to live because it'll kill you. But what they're saying in this article is non-alcoholic. So non-cirrhosis. It's fatty liver. Extremely dangerous to your heart. Yeah. Yes. Because, okay, let's go over this. When you have fat deposited in the liver, that guy right there, when you have fat, and for those listening on a podcast, I just pointed out to a picture of the liver. When you have fat in the liver, your body reacts to that. What does it do? It turns that fat into triglycerides, TGs. It is the number one reason I want you to send me your blood work when it comes to your lipid profile is I want to have a look at your triglycerides. They're so significant. And I can just tell you, for years and years and years and years, basic physiology, biochemistry has been forgotten. It really has. And the world got duped. Cardiologists got duped. Doctors have been duped. And have I become your enemy because I'm telling you the truth? The truth is this. It ain't cholesterol. I just don't know how many times I can say it. It's not cholesterol. It's triglycerides. The connection between fatty liver and the heart is bad lipids coming out of your liver when the liver is full. And you know what the problem is with fatty liver? Here's a big problem with non-alcoholic fatty liver. And and guys, it's not just me saying it. This is what this article was all about. Because it's one of the biggest things they were saying is it's 1 out of 4. 1 out of 4. And it's misdiagnosed. It's missed. Why? Because there are no symptoms necessarily. I got a fatty liver. How do you know? Well, I see fat. Well, that could be. But a lot of skinny people have fatty liver. They don't have, a lot of skinny people are very unhealthy. Because you can't see their fat. It's only in the liver. And they have some visceral fat, because you would think visceral fat would show up. And sometimes it does. You see women today and men, it was not unusual, okay? Because even in my day, when I say my day, I'm bringing you back to the 70s. You didn't see it often, but you would see men with beer bellies. We called them beer bellies. Okay? You remember that? Well, that man's got a beer belly. You know, generally people were thin comparatively in the 1970s. Generally. Today, not so much. But you never, I can't say maybe once or twice in 20 years of practice, in those days, I saw a woman with a beer belly. It really wasn't beer. Okay? But today it is common. You look at kids. But they don't drink beer. They're getting 20 teaspoons of sugar a day on average. Oh, just the average. They got sugar bellies. Okay, so sometimes it's visible. You got abdominal fat. And when you have abdominal fat, you can bet your boots you got fatty liver. You can bet your boots. But skinny people can have fatty liver without any symptoms. That fatty liver, what's the symptoms? I'm feeling all right. But there's a process going on in the body that finally medicine is taking note of. It's not drugs. It's not a lack. You don't get fatty liver from a lack of a statin drug that lowers your LDL cholesterol. You don't get fatty liver. You get fatty liver from food, sugar, especially high fructose corn syrup, and crappy carbohydrates that turn to sugar rapidly and make a beeline for your liver. Your liver, the Costco parking lot, always full. It's our lifestyle. It's the way we eat. We're carb loaded. And the AHA, wow. I can almost tell you guys that I would have never thought I'd see it. Linking liver to your heart. What's the connection? It's triglycerides, the bad fat balls that are going through your blood vessels. And then, listen, here's what they said too. I got to bring this out. Okay? There are two types of non-alcoholic fatty liver. Okay? They say there are two types. And I agree with this, by the way. There's non-alcoholic fatty liver, okay? NAFL. Okay? They often put it in brackets. NAFL, non-alcoholic fatty liver. They had to make up a category because any time before, like I said before, in the liver before, it was always alcohol. Alcohol goes to the liver. And anybody that knew anybody that died of cirrhosis of the liver, okay, was alcohol. But then they're saying this. I liked it. They call it NASH, N-A-S-H, okay? And they're saying it's non-alcoholic steatohepatic hepatitis. Hepatic is a big medical word for liver. When you get hepatitis, okay? What's that? Oh, that's inflammation of the liver. Well, they're saying, okay, and this one here, they're saying the NASH, hepatitis-like inflammatory condition of the liver, where it becomes inflamed, it gives off inflammation. And inflammation can be very damaging to the heart and the blood vessels. Remember what I've always said about inflammation. You kick me in the knee, you want inflammation to come. Okay? I don't want you to kick me in the knee, but if you do, inflammation will come. Why? It's your body's ambulance system. You get an infection. You want inflammation. Why? Because it's your body's ambulance system. It's bringing more T cells and more protein and more healing elements. And they rush around in your body to fight the infection or fight the injury. That's your body's response to injury or infection. But what they're saying about the liver is it can become inflamed without an infection. How can that happen? When the fat sits, it packs itself like the Costco parking lot. It can give off inflammation. And that inflammation is first of all destructive to blood vessels. It's not meant to stay there. Inflammation should be temporary. You got an infection? Okay. But your immune system comes, it fights the infection, and it goes away. That's your immune system. You ever had a cold? A little virus. You can't see it if your life depended on it. Ooh, we talk about viruses and I get a headache. Because nobody wants to talk about your immune system. But your immune system works because you get a cold and a little cold. It's no fun, right? You're all stuffed up and you're, Well, that's inflammation. And you get a headache and you don't feel good. And a little wee virus can knock the living stuffing out of you. And that's all right for a few days, right? That's inflammation, guys. But if that sticks around, well, now it starts to damage, right? Think of an autoimmune disease like rheumatoid arthritis. Inflammation gone amok. What happens? That inflammation starts to destroy the joints because it wasn't meant to last. So the AHA, the American Heart Association, they're seeing the connection between the inflammation coming out of the liver and affecting the heart. But guys, they didn't even mention it, but maybe they meant to and they didn't. But I'm going to tell you the biggest problem. The biggest problem. Inflammation, for sure. It's probably a double whammo. But what they didn't talk about is triglycerides. Those fat balls. Could they, even though the American Heart Association came out with this study and article, and it's really interesting, and I give them high fives, They didn't say, stop eating sugar. It's not steak that gives you heart disease. It's not meat, guys. I'm sorry. It's not. It's not blubber, the fat that you're eating from eggs or bacon or steak or cheese, for that matter. That kind of fat don't clog up your arteries. Triglycerides clog up your arteries. And inflammation damages arteries. So those triglycerides get stuck on your blood vessels and clog your arteries to the heart, to the brain. Cardiovascular disease is still the number one killer in our society. And the reason we're not doing well with it is because we're looking for love in all the wrong places. They want to hammer down your cholesterol, from dietitians to the heart doctors, medicine in general. 9 out of 10 gurus that I know, get your cholesterol down. Quit eating meat and not too many eggs and certainly not bacon. And they got it upside down, guys. Because you need cholesterol in your liver. When you have fatty liver, your liver's not working properly. Bad? Whoop! Elevates your triglycerides. I looked at somebody's blood test this morning. That Nick or Jeanette, can't remember who, sent it to me. And their triglycerides were through the roof. And I should say it. I don't say it when I send back the results of the blood. I say your triglycerides are high and your HDL is low. Not good. You know, there's two things I want to tell people when that happens. I should maybe say it. You got fatty liver. You got high triglycerides? Hello? You're one of the four. You got high triglycerides and low HDL, you got fatty liver. There, I said it. No, but seriously, guys. And this is very important. Listen, Linda, listen. You also have another condition. Because fatty liver does not occur independently of this. Nowhere to be mentioned in this article. Okay, so I'm happy they wrote it. I'm happy they said it. I hope it gets some ink. I hope it gets read by cardiologists and doctors all around and dietitians. But I'm not hopeful. Okay? Because there's two things. If you have high triglycerides and low HDL, what is HDL? HDL are the FedEx, Canada Post, US Postal Service, Amazon trucks, whatever, on the highways and byways of your blood vessels that hitch their wagon to triglycerides. Therefore, and all that occurs, where did they come from? Your liver. Your liver. So one, you got fatty liver. Maybe no symptoms. I got pain in my liver. You probably don't. There's no symptoms. Number 2, this is very important, guys. Okay? So, and I should say it, like I said, I don't even write this down when I send an email back or whatever. I should do it, but I don't do it. And here's what I should do. You have fatty liver, and 2, you got insulin resistance. 100% for sure. Insulin resistance, which is at the Metabolic Reset, the book that I wrote, was all about insulin. Because if you have insulin resistance, it leads to heart disease and heart and stroke. It's the underlying condition. When you have Alzheimer's, you have insulin resistance and fatty liver too. When you have diabetes, it starts with insulin resistance. You don't become a diabetic overnight. One day I'm a diabetic and the next day, one day I'm not a diabetic and the next day I'm a diabetic. Yeah, that's medicine, but that's not true, guys. There was a process that took place. It started in your liver because of the choice of food. We become carboholics, sugarholics. Your body was never meant to have 20 teaspoons of sugar a day. Kids. Yeah, but Dr. Martin, I'm drinking orange juice. Ooh. It's not meant. Don't drink sugar. That goes right to your liver without passing go. You see why I'm so passionate about the reset, guys? I know, and people come on and they're, Dr. Martin, it's so hard. Yeah, I know, but you're a carboholic. Since when, if you're an addict, is it going to be easy? I didn't say it was easy, but I think you should do it nonetheless. Boy, oh boy, incredible. You guys, I wanted to call you all up individually and say, I want you to watch the show Monday because I'm going to tell you something that will reinforce what I've been telling you for a long time. This is so key. Look, guys, you can't control everything in life. You just can't. But you sure can control what you eat. And again, they didn't even say it. They didn't talk about food. They didn't go that far. But it's so obvious, it's incredible. You can't get non-alcoholic fatty liver through osmosis. It happens. Nah. Your liver is the parking lot. And when you eat fat, it don't go to your liver and get stored as fat. Sugar gets stored as fat. Nobody ever got fatty liver when they're eating eggs, meat, and cheese. It won't happen. It won't happen. Like I said, you can go. I got textbooks to the left of me here and right behind you. I got a lot of medical books there. You look in the books in the 1970s, non-alcoholic fatty liver. Try and find it. You'll find cirrhosis. You'll find cirrhosis, but you won't find non-alcoholic fatty liver because people weren't eating. You know what I told you in the 1950s when I was a little boy? This is just nutritional history. I love nutritional history. I do. I majored in it. In nutrition, I majored in it. Nutritional history. It's one of my majors that I took. I love history. I've always loved history. And one of the things you do with history is you should learn from it to not repeat the mistakes of it. Okay? But nutritional history, in the 1950s, this is just a fact. You know how many pounds of sugar Canadians and Americans were consuming? How many pounds? 25. You seen a 25-pound bag of sugar? Yeah, I have. 25 pounds. Okay, just like that. Still pretty heavy. Right? I always tell my grandchildren, Grandpa used to have ice cream and cookies too, you know. But in the 1970s, it went to 50 pounds. All my 4 kids were born in the 70s. 50 pounds of sugar. Cereal. Orange juice. Not that we didn't have that stuff, but it just got worse and worse and worse. Crappy carbohydrates. And you know what it is today? It's a dump truck load of sugar. I feel sorry for kids because we've been duped and we don't read labels properly. We're looking for calories. How much fat is in there? Oh, I eat fat-free. See, the fat-free craze started in the 1970s. Fat-free this, and don't eat butter, eat margarine because it's fat-free. Fat-free yogurt and fat-free this. True or false? Because they had this idea, well, fat makes you fat. And fat gives you heart disease. No, it don't. I hate to burst your bubble. No, it don't. No, it don't. No, it don't. No, it don't. Okay. I get excited, but it's just because, guys, if you learn that lesson today and you put it into your craw, you're going to be way ahead of 99% of the population. The news behind the news. My job is to bring you news behind the news and tell you the truth. Anyway, things are changing. It's good. At least they're admitting it. They're acknowledging it. It's incredible to me. I get excited about that. Maybe there's some hope. Okay. So guys, what's Friday? Question and answer Friday. We did it on Thursday for 2 weeks. Well, we're going to go back to Friday this week. Okay? Are you a member of the Martin Clinic Facebook group? You're not? Why not? Okay, join our community. If you don't get our emails, make sure you get our emails. Sign up at martinclinic.com. Okay? If folks, this is an important podcast, guys. Okay? If people can't watch us live, just remind them they can watch the doctors in podcast. Okay? Okay? Good. Okay, guys, we love you dearly, and I say that, and I mean it. I really do. Okay, and we'll talk to you soon.